holidays. Keep your head up, and I wish you everyone, be safe and start with the head up in 2021. There's a lot of good things coming up, so we'll announce them soon. But in the meantime, do your thing. Be safe. Use your mask. Follow, the rules and regulations, whatever your local regulations are, and that's it.
That's well said. He's right. This has been a tough year, and we've been working. We actually met today earlier about things that we're trying to do next year, obviously for all of you guys, and there will be some announcements soon about some of the things that we're planning to do. And if you've been following us, you know that we'll have our first meeting sometime within the first 2 weeks of 2021. And like always, the first meeting of every half of the year is to plan and strategize what we're going to do. So hopefully many of you will come and share your ideas or volunteer to present, which is usually hard. We try to recruit as many well-known professionals like Phillip, but the people like Phillip are always very busy, and it's not easy for them to just say, oh yeah, just go and speak for 2 hours on a Saturday. So we encourage you to participate. We encourage you to present ideas or request presentations. There's been times where we have found new subjects and tools because somebody said, hey, can you guys talk about this, or can you find somebody? So this year we had several great meetings, some of them during some very tense and stressful times. So hopefully next year won't be as bad as this. And at one point we will go back to our meetings. I don't think this will happen until fall of next year, to be honest. Hopefully we'll start rolling. I was just seeing the alerts from Cron and the Bay Area, and apparently they're going to start rolling out the vaccine next week. So for California, this will be great, and hopefully we'll start getting some traction on this. And the idea is to continue doing the meetings online. The idea is to continue creating events for all of you guys, and eventually we want to establish a formal, I guess, process where you get CPEs for this. Just so you know, you can get CPEs right now. If you have a CISSP, if you have a SAMS that you need CPEs for, you can claim them. Just send me an email, right? As long as you can prove you attended the meeting, I will certify that you actually attended a meeting, so you can get your CPE. So if you spend 2 hours, you can claim 2 CPEs. So we also apologize we didn't do a conference this year. We actually joined the Smart Cities initiative. But hopefully, if we go back to in person next year, maybe we can give it another shot. We talked about it, and we are actually trying to recruit people to help us in our new efforts, and hopefully good things will come out of this. So what time it is? It is 2:08. I'm gonna wait a couple of more minutes, and then I'm gonna give Phillip the floor. I do thank all of you very much. For those of you who have been constant attending and coming, and hopefully we'll continue doing this effort until we get out of this disaster pandemic and we'll go back to normal. No, things are changing. Companies announcing they are moving, et cetera, et cetera. Once again, if you have been affected in terms of you've been laid off, or you need a job, join our Discord. There are tons of jobs there. Not only tons of jobs, there are people that can help you, will recommend you, and will help you skip HR, skip recruiters. So join the Discord. I will publish the invite for Discord, and we do have plenty of sources of things that you can use for your own career and advancement. Please continue attending. Hopefully I will see you again. Our next meeting will be about planning and strategizing for the first half of 21. And we will keep you posted on everything we do. And thanks again. Stay safe. And with this, I'm gonna let Philip take over. Where are you, Philip? Right here. So I'm gonna set you as presenter.
And also make sure that turn off the notification so he doesn't get interrupted. And the mute everyone. And then Philip, do you have a preference on questions? Do you wanna you want someone to interrupt you while you're presenting, or you want to leave them towards the end, or you want some of us like read the questions to you? How you want to do it?
Yeah, let's wait until the end, because typically what's going to happen is I'm going to recommend some resources, or someone's going to say, hey, what about this? And I'll cover it. So let's go ahead and wait till the end, because usually that's what happens. So we'll go ahead and do that. And thanks, guys, for having me. It's a real honor here. This is only my second presentation for anyone in the California area. I did the presentation for the Silicon Valley Osaka group earlier this year. So it's a pleasure to join you guys. And as Rod mentioned, we knew each other from Gray Hat and the Red Team Village and all that. So it's an honor to be joining you all today. And as he was mentioning too, sign up to talk. I mean, this is a good way to get your name out there. It helps with jobs. It's kind of crazy how well that stuff helps. Back in 2012, they were opening up the 2012, they were opening up CFP for B-Sides Dallas Fort Worth. And the coordinator said, hey, the best job I got in my career was presenting. And so once I heard that, I was scared to speak in public. I wasn't comfortable with my speaking skills. So I started Toastmasters. And then by 2015, I gave a talk at my first conferences and been doing a lot since then. And from doing all these conference talks, when I recently made a job change, it was a lot easier to find jobs. So get out there and network the different groups like this. Like Rod was mentioning, get past firewall. It's like, you're evading the HR firewall, because HR, sometimes they don't understand these jobs that well, and they really don't know who's qualified. And it could be, your resume could get lost in the stack. So if you know someone internally, they can refer you. You've got a lot better chance of getting the job. My last 4 jobs have been all referrals from people I knew that worked at the company, and I was able to get in. During the time I was moving to US Bank, I'd actually sent Bank of America my resume and totally got passed over, but I knew someone at US Bank and I got hired. A month later, they found my resume at Bank of America and they were trying to recruit me. So, I was really qualified for the job, but I just got missed over. So the traditional way of uploading your resume, going through recruiters, don't always work. So that was some really great advice from Rod. So thanks for having me. This talk is called The Pentester Blueprint, a Guide to Becoming a Pentester. This talk came out of my lecture at Dallas College. First semester, first day of the semester, I give this talk on pen testing and how to become a pen tester. And my first year of teaching, the other professors asked me to come into class and share this talk with their students. And this was like January 2018, the first time I did it. By November, I presented a talk based on this at B-Sides Dallas Fort Worth. So, did this at several conferences since then, and actually recently wrote a book based on the topic. So if you like this talk and you're trying to break in pen testing, or you know someone that is, this may be a good book for them. So I have my CISSP, OSCP, and the SANS GWAPT certification. I'm the lead curriculum developer at Point3 Federal. We create offensive security educational content for the U.S. military. I'm the adjunct professor at Dallas College. I founded the Pwn School Project, which is a meetup that focuses on cybersecurity. And it's usually, we try to make it more educational based, helpful for anyone who's trying to transition into different areas of security, or people trying to get into security, or people coming out of college. So I've been in the industry a little over 23 years. Most of my career has been in cybersecurity. I started in January 2004, spent almost 9 years in pen testing. This spring will make 9 years. that I've been working in offensive security, I was fortunate to be asked to be in the Tribe of Hackers Red Team, and that got me an invitation by the publisher to submit a book idea, and ended up getting a contract. So I co-wrote the book with Kim Crawley. She's a well-known cybersecurity journalist in the industry, and she helped me complete this book. I had the pen testing part down, wasn't really able to fill out enough of the book to quite get close to that 200-page mark, but Kim come in and add a lot of other security content that's helpful for people getting started. So I'm also a co-host of the Uncommon Journey podcast with Chloe Misdoggy and Alyssa Miller. I'm an advocate. I'm an ambassador and champion for Innocent Lives Foundation. They help unmask anonymous child predators. So if you guys ever look for organizations to volunteer, they're looking for people to do intel and help unmask anonymous child predators. And I'm also a member of Hacking's Not a Crime. We're trying to help clean up the name of hackers, because the media over the years has made all hackers sound bad. And when hacking originally started out, this were your people like Wozniak, Steve Jobs, and Bill Gates, and these people creating technology, people writing code and all this stuff. And then, the media started referring to cyber criminals as hackers. And so we're just trying to educate the public, especially the media, because to let them know that this is a useful skill. I mean, it's just like a locksmith. You can use those skills for bad, but it's not all people with the lock picking skills use them for bad. So my Uncommon journey started out a little different. It's kind of an unusual path. When I graduated high school back in 1984, there was computers in our school, and IT really wasn't a really well-known field at that time. And I had no exposure to computers, didn't know what I was going to do when I graduated high school. And since I was a powerlifter, my friends said, hey, you should be a pro wrestler. So I went to wrestling school and wrestled professionally for about 3 years, and had to change careers because I didn't make enough money as a wrestler. I was working part-time as a bouncer, and I needed a career that's more conducive to married life and having a family. So I went to trade school and learned AutoCAD. So I became a CAD draftsman. This was back in '94. I got my first CAD job. And then I found out about sysadmin work, and I had more of a knack for the computer side of things. I taught myself how to build computers. I took a Novell NetWare operating system course. It was a C&E back in the day. And this is, Novell, for those of you that don't go back that far in IT, that was like the predominant network operating system back in like the 90s. And so I went to work as a sysadmin, stayed in that role for about a little over 8 years, moved into InfoSec in 2004. 2005, I moved into application security, got laid off in 2012, and went to work as a pen tester. So I share this story. The wrestling part is not really relevant, or the drafting, just to let people know if this is something you want to do. If I could do it, you could do it. It's just a matter of putting the time and effort, taking the time to learn it. The important part of my journey is the sysadmin portion, because this base knowledge helped me in InfoSec and helped me eventually become a pen tester. So I like to share this slide with my students each semester. The first time I heard this quote was in Spider-Man. Uncle Ben was telling Peter, with great power comes great responsibility. So I like to share this when I'm telling students, only hack if you have permission, and even better, written permission. Hacking without permission is illegal. So be careful. There are people out there that will say they want you to do a pen test. They're just trying to get you to hack into something, or they want you to hack their ex's Facebook account or that sort of stuff. And you want to be careful. If you get a criminal record, then it's hard to get a job. There was someone in the local community that actually got let go from a company because they didn't finish the background check. He had a felony and he lost his job. Fortunately, he was able to get one, but it makes it a little tougher if you got that criminal record. And this little sticker up there, hacking is not a crime. This is from the Hacking is Not a Crime organization. Some stickers they came out with to help socialize this group. So what is pen testing? Most of you probably know what pen testing is, but we're going to cover it just in case those are on that are not aware of what pen testing is. Pen testing is assessing security from an adversarial perspective, attempting to exploit vulnerabilities to gain unauthorized access to systems and sensitive data also referred to as hacking. So the role as a pen tester is not always root or domain admin. The information is the crown jewels. This is what the attackers are going for. This is what they're going to monetize to make money off of these breaches. So why pen testing? So security posture assessed from an adversarial perspective gives you a better understanding of the security risk level. Exploitable vulnerabilities are higher risk and a higher priority for remediation, as well as justification for budget. Sometimes remediation can be very expensive, but if it's exploitable, then the company is going to be more motivated to remediate those items. Sometimes it can be expensive. It requires new hardware, new software, maybe even new staff. But if these vulnerabilities can be breached, then it's going to give the company more justification to do so. Let them see the seriousness of that. So regulatory compliance, your PCI DSS is one of the things that really has made pen testing popular. When I got started back in 2012, most pen testers were contract or consultants, and most companies weren't really doing pen tests. Then PCI required pen testing be done. So a lot of your financial institutions are hiring their own pen testers. I worked at US Bank. We had a pretty good sized pen testing team. There was about 12 of us plus a dedicated red team. And I believe they've grown since then. Bank of America, Capital One, Citibank, a lot of these companies, even outside of financial, have their own pen test teams because it gets expensive to pay consultants to do all your pen testing. So a lot of these companies are hiring internal pen testers. And it's a little bit quicker to get a pen test done. You're not have to go through a statement of work and get all the budget for this. So this is a growing field. It's fun. There's a lot of opportunities out there. So pen testing jobs. So pen tester is the short term of penetration tester. These jobs fall into the roles of security consultants, analysts, and engineers because HR doesn't always have the bandwidth to create individual roles and to manage all the individual roles. You know, a lot of times your analysts and engineers, that could be DFR people, this could be firewall people or penetration testers. So these are some of the roles they fall under. You just have to kind of look at the job descriptions if you're looking for a pen testing role. Other synonymous terms with pen testing is ethical hackers, offensive security, adversarial security, and these sometimes fall under threat and vulnerability management. Your threat and vulnerability management teams are usually the teams that are doing the reoccurring vulnerability scans and remediation, but sometimes the pen test team is part of that organization. So just some ideas of terms and organization groups that pen test teams may be part of. So these pen testing skills are helpful in other areas. So if you're a SOC analyst or network security analyst, be able to understand malicious traffic is going to make you better at doing your job. It's actually going to help anyone on the blue team. Digital forensics and incident response, when you see malicious traffic or you see malicious items on a system that you're investigating, you're going to have a better idea of what was used and make it your life easier investigating that breach. So purple teams, where the blue team and red team are working together to improve the defenses, is very popular. This is a really great way to improve things in your environment. Sometimes it takes years of vulnerability scanning and pen tests to finally get everything straight. But if you perform a purple team exercise where you're running different types of scripts to see if these hacking tools can be exploited in the environment, executed and not detected, so you're working with the defenders to tune those EDRs and different endpoints to detect those and make sure people are responding. And then application security, this is used widely there, and this is actually my first exposure to pen testing. So different types of pen testing targets. So networks, applications, transportation, people, and buildings are targets for pen test. You know, internal, external, wireless networks, applications from web app, thick client, mobile, and cloud, and then hardware, anything from your network devices to Internet of Things and medical devices. You know, pacemakers and insulin pumps have been discovered in the past to be exploitable. So these items can be hacked. So we want to make sure they're secure and they need to be tested. As well as transportation, you look at the autonomous vehicles out there, these self-driving vehicles, they need to be secure. So a lot of these different Automotive companies are starting to hire pen testers to test their equipment, test their products. And then people in buildings, testing those security. You can have the most, secure environment, the best in class endpoint protection and all this. But if someone's able to tailgate into the building, get access to a keyboard, then they're going to have a lot easier chance of hacking in. Or if someone clicks on a malicious payload on an email. So that's why your buildings and your people need to be educated and secure. So types of depth. So you have 3 main categories, and these are going to be dependent on the amount of time you have to test. Black box, also referred to as blind pen test, is going to take more time, and you're going to give the tester less information. This is going to be more like an attacker would approach it. So with a network, you may give IPs, you may not. They just may know the name of the company, and they're trying to go in and find the IP addresses and domain names. And then white box or crystal box is detailed system info, including accounts for app pen testing, documentation, and source code. So this is going to be the most thorough testing method, whereas the black box is more simulating an actual attacker. And then you have gray box. This is partial knowledge. This is what you're going to see most of the time when you're pen test. It's kind of a combination. If you're having an application test, they're going to start out unauthenticated and see how far they get, and then they're going to do an authenticated testing each level of access. So then you have the different testing depths or different pieces of a pen test. And these first 2 items are labeled not a pen test. Vulnerability scans is where you're running Nessus or Nexpose to look for vulnerabilities. Sometimes they find false positives, but these are a great way to find low-hanging fruit and find your vulnerabilities. Sometimes your threat and vulnerability teams are running vulnerability scans, on a regular reoccurring basis. And pen testers will run vulnerability scans as well. And so the next step is your vulnerability assessment. You've ran your vulnerability scan. Now you're going to go through and run other tools to see if you can find vulnerabilities, use other methods and techniques to find vulnerabilities and validate those findings. Make sure they're not false positives. Once you validate those and find anything the vulnerability scanner didn't find, then you're going to perform the pen test. So you're going through, and this is like the vulnerability assessment plus exploitation or hacking those vulnerabilities. You're going to do, analysis of those vulnerabilities and see if there's any exploits out there. And then the next level is red team or adversarial testing. This is more simulating a real world attacker. Sometimes red team is used generically for all of offensive security, but true red teaming is more adversarial simulation. Pen testing entails trying to look for every vulnerability and exploit every vulnerability you can, where red team, you're trying to simulate a breach. Sometimes you're emulating specific APTs, or sometimes you're just using different types of attacker techniques. You'll go in, you'll find something that's exploitable. You're trying to simulate a breach. You get in, try to see if you can exfiltrate data and maintain persistence. And with this, you're also usually social engineering is in scope. Red teaming is also referred to sometimes as open scope pen testing. With your compliance, pen tests have been a little more narrow in scope. They're just wanting to do stuff that passes PCI. And so the more narrow scope pen testing has come about. So this is where red teaming has become needed. They need more of an adversary simulated test to make sure that you're truly secure. And this is something that you do as your process matures. There's things you can add to your program as things get more mature. You want to do your pen test, your vulnerability scanning to make sure things are a little more secure, and then add in your adversarial simulation, and then things like bug bounties. So specializations, this first one is really not a specialization. This is just general. It's just your normal pen tester. You're doing network pen tests primarily, some general such as Wi-Fi, light web application. Even though it's a network pen test, a lot of your administrative interfaces for print servers and your different security software and different IT administrative interfaces are web-based. So sometimes a pen tester and attacker, the only way in is through one of these interfaces. So you need to know a little bit of light web application pen testing. And even a good example is look at the OSCP. The OSCP tries to prepare you for the role of a pen tester, and a lot of the stuff in their labs have some kind of web exploit. So they're just they really show the need for that type of skill set. Then you can specialize in application, web app, mobile, cloud, or API. Thick client or your binary applications are still vulnerable and can still be exploited, need to be tested. Social engineering, your people. So a lot of people will specialize in social engineering and physical. You take people like Jason Eastreet, he specializes in social engineering. And so these are tools that are helpful in pen testing as well as red teaming. So some of these you can use together, but some people like to really specialize. I think if you really want to master something, like myself, for me to get to the next level, I need to specialize, because it's hard for me to know everything and be good at all. I could be, decent at some things, but you can't be a ninja at all things. So you look at people that are writing the Active Directory exploit tools, they're really good at that area, but maybe they're not really good at web app pen testing. So specializing can be a good thing. Transportation, this is a good area to specialize in. It's kind of new, so there's not a lot of people in that area. And then red teaming. Then red teaming can be used in the pen testing realm. So you can do red teaming and pen test too. Some companies may not have enough work to be constantly just doing red teaming, so you're doing pen testing. And a lot of those skills, there's overlap there, just more adversary simulation on the red team part. So how to become a pen tester. This is one of the more popular parts of this talk. So you need the technology knowledge. You need to understand networking and operating systems, especially Windows and Linux. Most Windows servers you're going to find in your enterprise environments. So understanding that, an Active Directory, Linux is very popular, and you see a lot of that on the internet. So you need to understand both of those operating systems from a sysadmin level. If you get a shell or command line access to one of the systems, you need to be able to navigate the command line. And to truly be successful as a pen tester or an ethical hacker, you need to understand that command line. Security, you need to understand security. To be able to hack into something, you need to understand the technology, the security around it, so you can actually exploit vulnerabilities and misconfigurations. Applications and hardware is very important too, but these three main things, the network, operating systems, and security, are the areas that you really need to focus on starting out. So hacking knowledge, once you have that basic skill set, then you're going to need to learn how to hack. Whenever I was becoming a pen tester, I knew how to run web app vulnerability scanners. I ran some network vulnerability scanners. I had the sysadmin experience, knew Linux and Windows, and some other networking technologies, but I didn't know how to hack. So I had to learn how to hack. So I signed up for the OSCP course. And so that's how I learned how to hack, through that course. So classes, conferences, your meetings and meetups like this, you're be able to see some different tools and techniques people are using. Even if you're taking classes and any kind of courses like that, you still need to do some kind of self-study. So build a home lab. There's a lot of good YouTube videos out there on pen testing, different tutorials on those videos, and that you can find through like Twitter. And, Twitter has a lot of links to different blogs and articles out there that can be helpful. Twitter, you can find a lot of different people in the industry to learn from. So you also need to develop that hacker mindset. Once you've learned, once you have the knowledge, the security background, and you're starting to learn hacking techniques, you need to develop the hacker mindset. And so an interesting way to kind of describe that is, after becoming a pen tester, I was at an airport one time getting ready to do a pen test, and I was waiting for my luggage, and I saw a USB drive laying on the ground, this thumb drive, this USB stick. And I saw that, and I was just wondering if it wasn't an attempt for someone to social engineer someone. This is because, being in the industry and learning these different techniques, I started learning how those could be leveraged. So adapting that hacker mindset, learning that is important. And you kind of learn this from, maybe you have a system that is vulnerable to unrestricted upload, like Apache Tomcat. You're able to upload a WAR file that can be uploaded and creates a malicious JSP page that allows you to get access and shell to that system. So once you've uploaded that, to look at the command prompt, what level of access am I running? Do I need to get an interactive shell with this shell that I have so I can see more of this, what I'm going on, so I can get like a bash shell, so I can see more of the reactions to what I'm typing in. You look at the level of access. Am I NT system authority or root? Or am I just some, low-level user, which you should be? You should be looking at some web service account with minimal access. So if you have the minimal access, you need to elevate your privileges. And so just look at those things and learn how to put together, know how different vulnerabilities can be exploited. As you see that and get more experience, you see that, oh, I can do this or that. And the more you build that base up, the easier it gets for you, and you develop that mindset. The best way to build this mindset, it takes time and repetition. And the best way to develop this is with hands-on hacking experience. Your CTFs, your bug bounties, your hack the box, your try hack me, your different home hacking labs. So the formula for becoming a pen tester is the technology knowledge, plus the security knowledge, plus the hacker mindset. And so where to start? This is where this talk has helped people out, because, and this is anything you're trying to do in technology or security, find people that have experience, because they can save you time vetting out resources. My first year in pen testing, I didn't have a lot of resources, so I learned these resources on my own and found some good ones over the year. You can get some resources that are not so great or not the optimal learning resources. So if you can learn from someone else, that can save you a lot of time and optimize your learning experience. So what you need to do is develop a plan. So what you need to do is perform a gap analysis. Look at what you know and what you need to know. So if you don't know operating systems that well, then you need to learn Linux and Windows. If you don't understand hardware, learn hardware and networking. If you've worked in IT, maybe you don't have that Linux background, or you don't have networking. Maybe you were on the help desk and you have limited network experience or not much sysadmin stuff. So start filling those gaps of the things that you don't know. And a lot of people in InfoSec, they may have most of these skills, but they just need to learn how to hack. At the position I was at when I started becoming a pen tester, so you're participating in CTFs and bug bounties. These are really great ways to learn. When you're going through a job interview, if you've done bug bounties, you can tell how you've tested for particular vulnerabilities, how those were exploited, even capture the flags. You can explain to people how you hack certain things, hack the box. This is good experience, because these are the things you're doing as a pen tester. And, sometimes, it's hard to find good hackers. So if you're building these skills, then that's helpful. Someone in the local Dallas community, had a really great success story. He worked and hacked the box, doing those vulnerable, systems, worked on those for like a year solid. And then it only took him 60 days of lab time to pass the OSCP. So learning that is a really great thing to do before even starting the OSCP exam process. So build a lab, no matter what level you're at. I've been doing this for a while, and I still have a home lab. It's a way to test new tools and techniques and have it in a safe environment, because you don't always want to test your proof of concept code or vulnerabilities, exploits that you found in production environments. You want to test it first to make sure that the effects are not, damaging to the systems. So building your home lab. So I have three main categories here. This could be as detailed or as minimal as you want. So minimalist lab, this is one of my favorites. I have the minimalist lab, the dedicated lab. So my laptop, I've got vulnerable VMs. I have like a Kali Linux and Parrot OS attack VM running on there, as well as different vulnerable VMs. And then on my dedicated lab, I have a Ubuntu system running several vulnerable VMs on that. So I can, attack those systems across a network, which is more simulating a real world environment. And that way it just saves kind of some disk space on my laptop. And then advanced labs, you can have different individual components, routers and switches, the clients and server environments and firewalls. If you don't, you can find used hardware pretty inexpensive. or you can even go the Raspberry Pi route. You can build different, routers and firewalls and that sort of thing using Raspberry Pis. You can install Windows and Linux on those. So if you want something more, autonomous and not all together like virtualization, then that's a good method. So you need your attack platform. You need something to host your attack tools. And so Kali Linux and Parrot OS are really great resources. Ubuntu with the Pentester framework by TrustedSec. Dave Kennedy from TrustedSec created this utility or script that you can run to install the different hacking tools that you would find on Kali Linux. It's a way to really control the individual tools you want to install. Say if you set up Ubuntu in the cloud, then it makes it easier to install the Pentest tools there. Commando VM is a set of scripts kind of similar to Ubuntu, but it's for Windows. So you install the different hacking tools on Windows. It sets up your partitions, your drives, where it's protected from Windows Defender or your antivirus to prevent from deleting the hacking tools. Anytime you tried to install Metasploit on a Windows system without setting up a protected drive or folder, you'll see that Windows Defender or the antivirus will delete those tools because it's seen as malware. And everyone, Linux is a very good hacking platform, you need to know, but Windows has some good sysadmin tools. So it's good to have some platform VM running Linux and Windows. So you need something to attack. So you need some targets on your home lab. So you can create virtual machines using targets from VulnHub. Metasploitable 2 and Metasploitable 3 are good places to start. One of the reasons I really like Metasploitable 2 and 3 is if you download, vulnerable VMs from VulnHub, there may not be as many flags on there because they take a lot of old capture the flag VMs and upload those. And while those are good, Metasploitable has a lot of exploitable vulnerabilities, and there's walkthroughs on those. So if you get stuck, you can look at those walkthroughs. Also, you can learn through those walkthroughs because everyone has different ways of doing things. So look at those walkthroughs. Metasploitable 2 runs on Ubuntu, and Metasploitable 3 also runs on Windows. So you need a Linux box to attack in Windows. So these two VMs there alone will keep you busy for quite a while. Then OWASP, we've got WebGoat listed, but you have Juice Shop, Damn Vulnerable Web App, a lot of different vulnerable applications you can find through OWASP. Create your own vulnerable VMs. You can download vulnerable software from ExploitDB. ExploitDB is a repository for different exploits for vulnerabilities. And not only do they have exploits, they have links to the vulnerable software. So you could build your own VM targets. You could get together, if you have a study group or some people that you get together and hack with, build your own VMs, make a challenge, create VMs, and you can let your study partners check those out. So it's a way to test those, because you're building it, what's vulnerable on there. While this is a good way to learn, if you want a system that you can, test that you don't know what the vulnerabilities are, then building those vulnerabilities and sharing is a good way. Those vulnerable VMs is a good way to learn. And study groups are great. When I was going through the OSCP, I found 3 other guys that were studying for the OSCP, and we shared resources because we were all getting started in that area. And we would find good resources on exploitation, reconnaissance, and all that in different books we found that were good, and we'd share it with each other. So it helped the learning process along there. So here are some great books. The Penetration Testing, a Hands-On Introduction to Hacking by Georgia Weidman is a good one. The first year of my class, I used this book. And the nice thing about this book, it not only teaches you to pen test, it also shows you how to set up your own home lab so you can use this for the book. So you're able to, from this, you'll be able to learn how to build your own vulnerable VMs because Georgia takes you step by step through how to do that. We end up moving over to Pentest Plus curriculum to give students a certification to prepare for, but this is still a good book. Some of the systems are a little more outdated, but one of the things I tell you, once you learn how to exploit something, it's older and outdated, you can use that same knowledge and skills that you built to hack newer systems. And so that's a really good way to learn things. And the Hacker Playbook 2 and 3, make sure don't skip over 3. over to 3 because version 2 is pen testing focused. Version 3 is more red teaming. So you need version 2 first. And so the progression, you want the pen testing book and then progress to the hackers playbook 2 and 3. And then for web application pen testing, the web application hackers handbook by the creators of Burp Suite and the operator handbook, this yellow covered book here. It has a lot of handy syntax for anyone that works in security, does sysadmin work. There's different things related to cloud, different hacking tools and PowerShell. The Red Team Field Manual is a little older version of a similar book. Not as much content in it. It was one of the first ones of its type, but I still like to include that. The operator handbook came out first quarter this year, and it's available in ebook and printed version. I actually have both the printed and the ebook version. It's the learning resources. If you look at this list, you see a little space in between the top and the bottom there. The top section are paid resources, and most of these are going from more expensive to least expensive. SANS Institute's great training, but usually this is going to have to be company-funded training. Their courses for a 3-day course is $3,800, and for a 6-day course is like $7,200. It's great content. They keep it up to date, which is one thing that's really good about any kind of learning curriculum. You want stuff that's up to date. So it's kept up to date. It's created by people that are experts in the industry. A lot of them are in consulting or came from consulting backgrounds. eLearn Security has a lot of great resources there. They're currently part of INE. They were acquired last year, and so now eLearn Security is integrated into INE's learning platform. So now when you purchase their product, you don't just purchase an individual course. You can get packages where you have access to all the security tools for a very good price. They have an offer going on now for like $2,000. You get access to all their cybersecurity training. I think it also includes maybe some development courses as well. And then offensive security. This is a really great, they're the creators of the OSCP. Virtual Hacking Labs is a great pen testing course. It has a nice short pen testing course and online labs that take you from easy boxes up to more advanced. And the easier boxes give you hints. The advanced ones get to where they don't give you hints. And so they kind of bring you in easy and build you up. There's even like an Android device in their environment that you can hack. Pentester Lab is a good one for web app pen testing. This one not only shows you how to detect, SQL injection, they show you how to get a shell to a system. So that's a really great resource there. Pentester Academy is a good resource. They cover everything from some hardware hacking related stuff. They've added some Docker related stuff, Active Directory. Over the past year or two, they've added some defensive stuff. So it's a really good resource too. It's a subscription-based service. They do have some standalone courses, but it's a good priced course and most people can afford that. And Practical Pentest Labs is $64 or less for lifetime access. They have a short pen testing course and then several vulnerable systems that you VPN into like you do with the offensive security courses. Then we have the free resources here. Bugcrowd University and Hacker 101 has free learning resources because they want to educate people on web app pen testing to bring in, web app pen testers to perform in their bug bounty programs. So they have good content. SANS and hackingtutorials.org have some different cheat sheets and tutorials on different hacking techniques and tools. OWASP, as we kind of mentioned earlier, they have like the OWASP Top 10, the OWASP Testing Guide, and OWASP Zap, different open source hacking tools that you can use. Hack the Box and Try Hack Me are different vulnerable systems and networks that you can practice on. Try Hack Me has been more education, but Hack the Box is starting to add more educational stuff to theirs and expand, playing off the example of Try Hack Me. Over the Wire CTF is a good one for Linux hacking and security, and then Under the Wire is a great one for Windows, and you can also learn some PowerShell. So different certifications, your entry-level certifications are going to be your CEH, your Pentest Plus. Your intermediate certifications are going to be your SANS and your offensive security certifications, as well as your advanced. These intermediate and advanced certs are usually the ones employers are looking for. And e-learn security stuff is starting to become more recognized. I'm actually seeing people asking for those certifications. Your CEH is popular for companies that work in the government. It's on the DoD list of certifications. And so if you're doing business with the government or working for the government, then that's a good certification to get your foot in the door. So job tips, professional networking, as you guys already know, and ladies, clubs and groups like this, conferences, LinkedIn's your online resume. So make sure you put all your skills on there. Interview tips, be honest with your resume. If you've just opened up Burp Suite once and don't know how to use it, don't put that on your resume. What you're going to do is you're going to set yourself up for a tough interview. If you put things you don't really understand on there, the interviewer is going to interview you based on your resume or your LinkedIn profile. And it's not they're always trying to trick you or be a tough interviewer. They're trying to see what you learn and your level of knowledge on those topics. So your resume and LinkedIn profile will guide the interviewer. And also a good thing I've seen, I think the first person I saw do this was DFIR Diva has a good blog out there. And she was showing a tip on, if you have stuff and it's only educational experience, list that in your resume and show, kind of label educational, or you learned this and, learned this in some kind of course. That way they see you may not have professional experience, you still have it on your resume, and then they realize, okay, that, you do have some experience. So that's good. Know the OWASP top 10. Even if it's not a web app pen testing course, you're always going to get asked questions on the OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities. The different variations of cross-site scripting, SQL injection, how to protect against those, and so forth. Knowing the basics like the three-way TCP handshake and the OSI model, that come into play a lot. Your senior management, people managing pen testers may have not worked in that area, or they've kind of gotten rusty, but they still understand the basics. So understand that, prepare for your interview. So when you're going to the interview, spend some time reviewing these topics. You're going to do a lot better job. Maybe you hadn't touched on something in a while. Maybe you got a little rusty. If you go back, do a review, once you're going through the interview, you're going to do a better job. And so before we open this up to Q&A, I just want to share my contact information here. I enjoy mentoring people. That's what got me into teaching. And so feel free to email me, connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter. I'll be happy to answer your questions after this, and we can open it up for questions.
Thank you very much, Phillip. That was an amazing presentation. So guys, if you have any questions, you can either post it in the chat, or I think I allow you guys to unmute. I do have some questions.
Okay.
Your organization, Hacking is Not a Crime. Do you guys defend hackers?
Yes. Well, we don't really, what I'll say, they don't really go out and provide legal protection, but what they do is, the story of this organization really deserves a little more explanation, because Brian McInich, he runs North Texas Cybersecurity Group. He had this idea before DEF CON in 2018 to start this group. He was a skateboarder, so that sticker he had, the Hacking's Not a Crime design, was from Skating's Not a Crime. And so he had this idea to socialize the Hacking's Not a Crime. But Chloe Misdoggy partnered up with him to help enhance the organization. So they're talking to different people in the government, helping with legislation in language to get hacking not seen as bad, trying to help with hackers' rights and that sort of thing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I will, if you email me that, I will promote your organization. Hopefully you guys will support you, man. I know Chloe is a person I respect. She's very opinionated, and she's a true advocate of the tech community and the hacking community. So I'd like to know more about this, and I'd like to promote it within the Pacific Hackers in Hack Miami.
Yeah, she actually did her when she was starting. She did the presentations on our first conference.
She talked in our conference, correct?
Before she wasn't famous, now she's famous.
Any question, guys? Oh, come on.
Hey, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask. Yeah, thanks for this was amazing presentation. And what do you think about all the types of things that we can do to like help each other in this community? Besides, we're doing a lot of these organizations, but like with the safe harbor and stuff like that, like the bug bounty stuff. Do you have like any understanding about like the legal aspects of it? How has that impacted your work? How do you because you're doing this pen testing, right? So there's legal ramifications, what's in scope, what's out of scope. Have you ever had an issue where you've had to deal with any kind of legal ramifications, like something maybe you had to go back and maybe there was a little bit of misunderstanding? How did you work it out?
If you're speaking, we can't hear you, Philip. Still there?
Yeah, I see him there, but I don't know if he's talking.
Yeah, he was having some issues with the. We can't hear you, Philip.
Yeah, maybe if we want to give it a couple minutes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Then we can maybe take a 5-minute break or something, or just he can chat and see if we can chat with him. Hold on.
Guys, do you have any other questions that you can type or requests? Please, this is the time. We can ask Philip to send us a copy of the PowerPoint. I'm sure he probably has it somewhere, but if not, we'll make sure to share it. This this presentation is going to be posted at the Pacific Hackers YouTube channel, and hopefully I will be able to get the slides as well. This was an amazing way to close the year.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Somehow my audio got screwed up and started trying to use my camera instead of my mic. Yeah. So to go back to the hacker protection. So disclose.io is a good place for information out there on hackers' rights. But for me, most of my career has been pen testing, so I really didn't run into things like that. But make sure you're part of like a bug bounty program and look for bug bounties that promote safe harbor, so they give you some kind of protection against those. So going through different bug bounty programs is a good way to get protection. And then just like going out to disclose.io, they have a lot of information on hackers' rights and protecting yourself. And so, yeah, also we'll share this this presentation afterwards. I can send out a PDF. So sorry about the audio issues, but I'm happy to answer more questions now since it's working again.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you.
I have another question. What's your opinion on responsible disclosure?
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that responsible disclosure that you should, but the one thing is you need to be careful. And if you're testing anything, make sure that they have a bug bounty or something, because there's actually Kevin from he used to set up all the gaming devices, the arcade games at DerbyCon. He did a test on DJI's drone, and they had a pen test a bug bounty program, and they came back and tried to sue him because he found bug bounties. So really be careful. Go through, look at Disclose.io, make sure there's bug bounty programs. Sometimes it's better to go through something established like BugCrowd or HackerOne. And then also look at some of the established companies, like Apple is great with their bug bounties. NSA-IAM and some other people from the bug bounty community recently they found some bugs on Apple's platform, and they made like $500,000 between like 5 of them. But make sure you're using companies that are really advocating bug bounties, and be careful. Make sure you're staying in scope. Don't go out trying to hack into things and then come back and say, hey, I found a bug. So, just be careful what you're doing. And like I said, work through bug bounty programs and just kind of understand what's going on, understand your rights and what to do to stay out of trouble.
Great. Here's somebody asking if you're planning to conduct more session teaching techniques or case studies. So I'm assuming that this is probably a person who wants to know what your work is at. So go ahead and tell us.
Yeah, as far as teaching goes, I teach at a community college, and my courses are available online. I teach at Dallas College, but also I teach workshops. So I teach free workshops at the different conferences, especially a lot at the Texas Cyber Summit and Gray Hat and those sort of things. So I'm doing workshops all the time, and I'll probably end up doing something before the year's out. It's probably part of a fundraiser for Innocent Lives Foundation. But as far as education for me, this year I've tried to learn more about red teaming because I was in a specific red team role for a while. But career-wise, I've pivoted more recently into more education, because at Point3 we create curriculum for the U.S. military, and so my pen testing has more been on the side now to keep my skills up.
Great. I was going to ask you about Innocent Lives. Are you guys like the delivery fund?
Yes, Innocent Lives is they protect. They do fundraisers to raise money, because it does take money to run the organization, and it costs so much to investigate and turn this over to law enforcement. But they if you're interested in volunteering, they not only need money, sometimes they need volunteers that are good at OSINT to help unmask these child predators. So they work with law enforcement. They collect information on these child predators and give that over to law enforcement, because not always law enforcement is experienced with the cyber side of things, and professionals in the industry are able to help out.
That's great. If you actually send me that by email, I will post it on the Slack and on the Discord.
Okay.
Any other question, guys?
Hey, I don't want to hog it up, but Philip, did I cut anybody off?
No, go ahead, man.
No, go for it.
Yeah. Hey, so that organization, how do you, like, if you wanted to get involved in that, do you guys have like a training, or is it like some type of, how do you basically select the people, or can they volunteer? How does it work?
Yeah, you can volunteer. They'll do like a background check on you, and I think they may provide some sort of training if you get selected. So someone that has like an IT or technical background will get in. Some people that are not in IT but are interested will do that. So really, where you train for that is look for some of the OSINT related courses. Aleth Davis, she does a lot of talks about Aleth Dennis. I'm sorry. She does a lot of OSINT courses, and so does Joe C3O Joe on Twitter. There's some really cheap ones, and some people do some free OSINT courses. So learning OSINT, Trace Labs does some of that too. They do the People Finder CTFs. So going through some of those trainings like that will help, because they use a lot of the people finding techniques to track down the bad guys. But you just apply through there. They'll do like a background check, and then they bring you on as a volunteer. They stay pretty busy, but don't let that discourage you. Sometimes it takes a while to get in. But a lot of people that work as pen testers, red teamers, and people in OSINT, other areas of security and IT work as volunteers.
Hey, whenever you need volunteers, we have a lot of people that would like to volunteer. We actually talked to some other organizations. The problem sometimes is the bureaucracy involved, and then being able to be certified to help you. but we definitely are open, not only on the West Coast, but on the East Coast. If you need people, please hit us up, and we'll see what we can do.
Sure, I'll get some information out to you.
Any other question?
Yeah, I have a question for Philip. So you mentioned about the, as part of the certifications entry level CEH. What is your take on CEH? Is it, for many years it has really had a bad reputation, and people when they come to us and they mention CEH, it's like, no, don't go there. But then
Yeah.
I know they have changed the curriculum throughout the years. Okay, so what's your take on that?
My take on it is it's a certification that's an entry level certification, and it's recognized. HR understands it. Some managers, that's like one of the first pen testing certifications, so they'll use it. I mean, it's a credential to get your foot in the door. Honestly, if you're going to go, if you're able to, put in the effort and learn something, I would do like the eLearn security courses, like an entry level certification. There is their junior pen testing cert. I would do that instead of the OSCP. It's got a lot of respect. People that are pen testers in the offensive security community laugh at the pen test, the CEH. I have a hard time. I actually spoke at Hacker Halted this year that was provided by hosted by the EC Council, and I've kind of sometimes not always been the biggest fan, so I have to be careful, because being in the industry, some of us pen testers, someone will say, yeah, I've got a CEH. We say, oh, cute, that's cute, but it's their curriculum, I think, is improving, and they've got like a master CEH now that I think you actually have to do some technical stuff, but I mean, it's nothing, none of those really compared to like the OSCP, the offensive security stuff, or even eLearn security. eLearn security, you have to perform a pen test. Offensive security, you actually have to hack targets. SANS, you don't have to hack anything, but it's a tough open book exam. So people that are hiring pen testers, they're really looking for the SANS and the offensive security certs. So CEH might get your foot in the door. And I've seen some consulting companies look for CEH because that's either they're doing business with the government or something like that. But that's my opinion. And then as far as trying to get the certification, it's not a cheap certification, and they're really weird about experience or where you take the course and how much the certification costs. You can actually do the Pen Test Plus for less money.
What is your opinion of the Pen Test Plus? I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good one. Pentest Plus is more entry level. It's not a hands-on, but CompTIA has some good certifications, and that's part of the reason I added the Pentest Plus curriculum to my course. That way students could get a certification. CompTIA, all their courses, like their Security Plus, CYSA Plus, and CASP, they all have some sort of offensive security element in there, so it all builds on each other. So it's really good in methodology. So it's a good one to start out with. So I don't know really how well it's helping people get hired, but it's good curriculum, and you'll learn from it. I really like the methodology heavy curriculum of the Pentest Plus.
Somebody just wrote in the chat that Pentest Plus is now DoD approved.
Oh, good.
Awesome. That's
And there's another question from Jack. For the resources listed, do you recommend going through all of them?
Not necessarily all of them. It depends on what you're on the resources. It depends on what your focus is. If you're wanting to be, web app pen tester, then Pentester Lab, I would say the eLearn Security web app pen testing course, that would be good to start with. If you're wanting to be a network pen tester, then your OSCP or your eLearn Security pen testing certs, those are good to start with. Another thing too is spend time in those labs, like your eLearn Security, well, not eLearn Security, but your Hack the Box and Try Hack Me. I've seen people that have just hammered away at Hack the Box and went and took the OSCP after a little bit of study and passed it. And another thing is too, don't rely just on certifications, because once you get experience and you're in the field as a pen tester, then certifications are not as important anymore. You need to know what you're doing. So know what you're doing too. Some people rely on certifications, get through the certification process, and don't maintain the skills, and that hurts them.
Any other questions? Seems like we don't have more questions. Well, Philip, this was an outstanding, extraordinary presentation. Thank you very much. What a way to close in the year, man. You were the guy.
Yep.
Thank you.
So
it's an honor to help. It's an honor to help you all close it down.
yes, sir. I hope we can have you in the future. Maybe we'll have a part 2.
Yeah, definitely. Anytime.
Stay tuned. So please email me the stuff about those organizations you belong to, and for those who are here and are hearing all this conversation, if you join the Discord, you will be able to catch up on all this stuff. And we have a community where we have mentors, we have people that are seniors too, and they're already working in companies that may help you if you're trying to get a job. So I'll thank you again for coming, and please stay safe. And I'll let Marco close it up.
Oh man, you left me with the tough job. Well, I think I already mentioned in the beginning. Well, thank you for continue attending our meetups. Unfortunately, like Rod mentioned, we didn't get to have a conference this year, but definitely we hope that 2021 is going to come with good and better things. We hope to also see you soon, because definitely the one-on-one connection, it's always great to have. And so stay tuned. Like I said, follow the instructions that your local government gives you, and stay safe, and continue making a better world. Keep learning. Use the time wisely. Basically, Philip gave a really good resources. So now throughout the end of the year, start jumping into those resources and start learning something new. And who knows, you might get a new job by 2021. So that's my best wishes for you. Happy holidays, and again, the best to all of you. Stay healthy.
We'll see you soon, guys. Thank you very much.